Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. They will be able to hear me. They will be able to hear me. But if you want to hear, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare. गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथ राज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। So today I have been given service to speak on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam verse 1.10.4. So the context you already know, that Bhishma Dev has decided to depart from this world. He has given all the instructions to Yudhishthira Maharaj and Pandavas to how do they rule the world after they have won the Kurukshetra war. How can they act like a pious king, serve the general populace, and thus benefit everyone by facilitating all the praja, all the residents, by helping them move in forward in Krishna consciousness. How? By engaging them in their own prescribed duties, right? Which is primarily Krishna consciousness, but then there are varnas and ashram that Bhishma Dev told about them. So primary principle of all these varnas and ashramas is Krishna is to move ahead in Krishna consciousness and ultimately reignite the dormant love for Krishna within, which is already there within the heart of every jiva. But in order to facilitate that, in turn, the different varna and ashrama system has been built, which Bhishma Dev elaborated on very elaborately, how a king should facilitate these facilities for himself and for the praja, so that everyone can grow ultimately, and they are not stuck in fruitive activities or demigod worship or anything like that. Ultimately, they should grow. The graph should always be there, like upwards. So when that has happened, then everything is settled now. And finally, in this chapter, chapter number 10 of first canto, some of the glories of Yudhishthira Maharaj's rule as a king will be given in the first 7 to 8 verses. And then after that, Krishna will decide to depart for Dwarka, but then he will stay for his sister Subhadra for some more time, and then they will go, and then this whole pastime will be told, that everybody will be very morose and sad that Krishna is leaving them, and then there are very deep instructions and lessons there as well. Right now we are discussing the preliminary portion of chapter 10 of Canto 1. By the way, this chapter is directly spoken by Suta Goswami to the sages of Naimisharanya. This chapter, Canto 1, is directly spoken by whom? Suta Goswami to sages of Naimisharanya. What happens to rest of the chapters, rest of the cantos? From canto number 2 to canto number 12, some portion in the starting, maybe chapter 3 or somewhere, This portion in between, Suta Goswami is repeating what he has heard from Sukdev Goswami reciting to Parikshit Maharaj. That is a repetition. But see, there are different levels of narration that is happening here. Vyasadeva is writing Bhagavatam. He is reciting what Suta Goswami has narrated to the sages of Naimisharanya. Suta Goswami in turn is narrating what he has heard from Sukdev Goswami's recitation to Parikshit Maharaj. And then Sukdev Goswami in turn is narrating different conversations between elevated personalities, Vidura, Maitreya, and then Nimi and Yogendras, like that. He's narrating different pastimes. And he's also adding something from it. So I was reading somewhere, actually, the original Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was already spoken by Vyasadev to Sukadeva Goswami. Of course, that's why he is able to repeat, right? But that Bhagavatam was very condensed form. It's a very condensed Bhagavatam. Now, what Sukadeva Goswami is doing, because he's Sukha, and we know the qualities of a parrot when he eats a fruit, he makes it more ripened and more sweet. Therefore, Sukdev Goswami now, what he has heard from his father, he is elaborating on that for the benefit of the general people in Kali Yuga, and he is also adding his own realization, or what he has, because of his Trikal Darshi, he is able to see in past and future, he is able to add that as well. And then when Suta Goswami is reciting Sukadev Goswami, he is reciting most of the part is from Sukadev Goswami, but then he is also adding from his own. Some of the past and future, great conversations that have happened or will happen in this kalpa or some other kalpa, he is also envisioning that and adding that as well. In this first canto and towards the end of 12th canto, the second half of this 12th canto, he is doing that. So, and there is one more thing, that whole of this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is actually yet not recited by Sukdev Goswami or Sut Goswami when this is being written. Actually, it is written in present, and the Bhagavatam will actually happen in future, right? So, Vyasadev, with his divine vision, he saw exactly what Sut Goswami is going to tell. And in order to increase the glory of Guru Shishya Parampara, the disciplic succession, and these great devotees like Sukdev Goswami and Sud Goswami, he's actually taking from them. In fact, he is the original originator of Śrīmad Bhagavatam. He could have written his own thing. But then in order to increase the glory of these great devotees, these pure devotees of the Lord, he's actually taking from their discussion and writing in his book. It is like you write a book and then give acknowledgement from Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi read this book like that. So, I mean, this is a material example, but these are great pure devotees of Lord. So, giving their realization in, actually, it increases the potency of the potential of delivery of the common people in Kali Yuga. Otherwise, if this discussion would have happened between, say, Vyasadev or Sukdev Goswami, or Vyasadev or Suta Goswami, or Sukdev Goswami and Suta Goswami, they would have discussed all these matters in very elaborate. They would have not gone into creation and Sarga, Visarga, Pralaya, and all those. They would have not gone into that discussion. Why? They are only concerned with the core philosophy, which is the devotional service of Krishna. They would have not discussed all these paraphernalia. But why Sut Goswami and Sukdev Goswami has elaborated this whole content for our benefit. And with that context, now we are here in Canto 1, Chapter 10, a reading about Parikshit Maharaj, how a pious, ideal ruler should act. So this is the context. Before starting, I also want to take blessings of all the senior devotees sitting here, so that I can speak for my own purification, so that in future at least I can release some small bit of Śrīmad Bhagavatam like great personalities do. So this slok is Śrīmad Bhagavatam 110.4. Kamam vavarsa parjanya sarva kama dugamahi Shishechusma Brajan Gava Paya Sodha Savatir Muda Kamam vavarsa parjanya sarva kama dugamahi. Shishu sma vrajan gava paya sodha swatir muda. Kamam vavarsa parjanya sarva kama dugamahi. Shishu sma vrajan gava paya sodha swatir muda. Kamam vavarsa parjanya sarva kama dugamahi. Susma vrajan gava aya soda swatir muda. Kamam vavarsa parjanya sarva kama dugamahi. Susma vrajan gava aya soda swatir muda. Kamam vavarsa parjanya sarva kama dugamahi. Susma vrajan gava paya soda swatir muda. Kamam vavarsa parjanya sarva kama dugamahi. Shishu vrajan gava paya sodha swatir muda. Word meaning: Kamam, everything needed. Vavarsa, was showered. Parjanya, rains. Sarva, everything. Kama, necessities. Dugha, producer. Mahi, the land. Sishu, moisten. Brajan, pasturing grounds. Gavaha, the cow. Payasa, udha, swati, due to swollen milk bags. Muda, because of joyful attitude. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Chandarvin Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthir, the clouds showered all the water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities of man in profusion. Due to its fatty milk bag, a cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk. So somebody might think that this is exaggeration or something like that. No, we have practically seen cows dripping milk when they are very happy with their calves. So it happens. Purport. The basic principle of economic development is centered on land and cows. The necessities of human society are food, grains, fruits, milk, minerals, clothing, wood, etc. One requires all these items to fulfill the material needs of the body. Certainly, one does not require flesh and fish or iron tools and machinery. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira all over the world, there were regulated rainfalls. Rainfalls are not in the control of the human being. The heavenly king Indradeva is the controller of rains, and he is the servant of the Lord. When Lord is over the king and the people under the king's administration, there are regulated rains from the horizon. And these rains are the causes of all varieties of production on the land. Not only do regulated rains help ample production of grains and fruits, but when they combine with astronomical influence, there is ample production of valuable stones and pearls. Grains and vegetables can sumptuously feed a man and animals, and a fatty cow delivers enough milk to supply a man sumptuously with vigor and vitality. If there is enough milk, enough grains, enough fruit, enough cotton, enough silk, and enough jewels, then why do the people need cinemas, houses of prostitution, slaughterhouses, etc.? What is the need of an artificial, luxurious life of cinema, cars, radio, flesh, and hotels? Has this civilization produced anything but quarreling individually and nationally? Has this civilization enhanced the cause of equality and fraternity by sending thousands of men into a hellish factory and the war fields at the whims of the particular man? Śrīla Prabhupāda is asking so many questions. Generally, people ask questions when they become frustrated with some concept. Like, has you done something good? Have you done something good? Have you something like that they do when they are frustrated with something? So actually, Śrīla Prabhupada, very much apt for a pure devotee, he's seeing the frustration in the material creation and then asking these multiple questions one after the other. It is said here that the cows used to moisten the pasturing land with milk because their milk bags were fatty and the animals were joyful. Do they not require, therefore, proper protection for a joyful life by being fed with a sufficient quantity of grass in the field? Why should men kill cows for their selfish purposes? Why should man not be satisfied with grains, fruits, and milk, which combined together can produce hundreds and thousands of palatable dishes? Why are these slaughterhouses all over the world to kill innocent animals? Maharaj Parikshit, grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthir, while touring his vast kingdom, saw a black man attempting to kill a cow. The king at once arrested the butcher and chastised him sufficiently. Should not a king or executive head protect the lives of the poor animals who are unable to defend themselves? Is this humanity? Are not the animals of a country citizens also? Then why are they allowed to be butchered in organized slaughterhouses? Are these the signs of equality, fraternity, and non-violence? Therefore, in contrast with the modern advanced civilized form of government, an autocracy like Maharaj Yudhishthira's is by far superior to a so-called democracy, in which animals are killed and a man less than an animal is allowed to cast votes for another man less than animal man. We are all creatures of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord himself is the seed-giving father and material nature is the mother of all living beings in all shapes. Bijoham Sarvbhutanam. Thus, Mother Material Nature has enough foodstuff both for animals and for men. By the grace of the Father Almighty Shri Krishna, the human being is the elder brother of all other living beings. He is endowed with intelligence more powerful than animals for realizing the course of nature and the indications of the Almighty Father. Human civilization should depend on the production of material nature without artificially attempting economic development to turn the world into a chaos of artificial greed and power, only for the purpose of artificial luxuries and sense gratification. This is but the life of dogs and hogs. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim tab kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Nityanandam Aham Naumi Sarvanandakaram Param Harinam Pradam Devam Avadhuta Shiromanim. I also welcome all the devotees online. I hope that I'm audible online properly. If you have any questions or anything, please feel free to put it in the chat while the lecture also. I will try to acknowledge them. So this is a very important verse where Śrīla Prabhupāda is giving us a lot of instructions of how a proper society should be structured, how the heads of the society should be elected, how they should act, what are the duties of the people in general in the society, and etc. Discussed here, especially if you see in the purport, Śrīla Prabhupada, and we know from Bhagavad Gita that rainfall are a consequence or a byproduct of what? Yajna. And from Bhagavad Gita, we also know that who is the ultimate benefactor of the yajna? Krishna. So therefore, Śrīla Prabhupada, while he is telling that rain is the source of all the prosperity on earth, and rains are controlled by Lord Indra, but however, he immediately writes one thing more. What is that? That Indra is the servant of the Lord. He doesn't want to divert even for an inch. This is the glory of Śrīla Prabhupada's purports and his books. He never diverts even for an inch in glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So though the whole purport and the sloka is around prosperity, rain, which are the functions of demigods, but he wants everyone to keep the focus on the ultimate principle of all these functions happening, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, he is telling when people in general, first of all, it is the duty of the head of the society to be Krishna conscious. So when the head of the society is Krishna conscious, he makes provisions so that the other people in the society also become Krishna conscious step by step. It is not that they become Krishna conscious in a day or overnight. The provisions are made so that they become Krishna conscious step by step gradually. And therefore, Śrīla Prabhupada is writing in different parts of Bhagavatam, therefore we have so much divisions of Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, Itihasas, and their Smritis, Shrutis, and on further divisions from there as well. The reason is there because there are 400,000 different types of humans. What is the differentiating factor of these 400,000 types? Elevation or evolution of consciousness. How elevated a jiva's consciousness is for what? For understanding the ultimate truth, right? Understanding the ultimate truth. This is how the 400,000 varieties have been developed in the human society. So these Vedic literature have been divided and be designed in such a way so that all of these 400,000 different categories can actually get sufficient philosophy, knowledge, direction, and teachings for their gradual elevation to a higher level of consciousness. So there are 400,000. So the lowest one, there will be some Chandala, like Prabhupada tells, right? Dog eaters. And then gradually, the pure devotee of the Lord. So our Vedic scriptures actually give us provision so that anybody can actually transition, even if they are following the societal arrangement of varnas and ashrams. Even by performing their own prescribed duties, they can actually climb from one stair or level of consciousness to the another one up to the highest level, like stairs. You have stairs to go up upwards, step by step. You can, and this is the glory of why Sanatan Dharma is meant for everyone. So when people say Sanatan Dharma is all encompassing, it is meant for everyone. It can accommodate all the type of people, all the world. This is the reason that our first of all, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then our great sages, they have designed the whole system in such a way that anybody in whatever level of consciousness they are, because of their sanskaras and prarabdhas and previous lives and all, they can still, by following these teachings, they can climb higher and higher in the level of consciousness. So over here it is told that people can actually perform their duties in their varnas and ashramas. And whether they are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra, or they are in Brahmacharya ashram, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas ashram, whatever they do, like when we were small, there was this WWE fighting, right? And after that, they used to show a disclaimer. They say, whatever you do, wherever you are, whatever you do, don't try this at home. Like that, they used to give disclaimer because people used to imitate it. So over here it is said, wherever you are, whatever you do, please try this at home. Please imitate this at home. So therefore, we can elevate our consciousness, and therefore the primary, instrument of prosperity being discussed in this purport is what? Rain. And he immediately writes that rain is not in human control. It is not. We can do chemical artificial rains and all this stuff that is going on, but you can see what kind of havoc they are creating in the whole ecological system, right? This is very dangerous. So therefore, rains are not in the control of the human beings. Who controls? Indra. Indra is servant of Lord Krishna. How is Lord Krishna pleased? By yajna. What is the yajna for Kali Yuga? Nam Sankirtan. Very simple teachings. If we do that, if the human society does Nam Sankirtan and devotional service in collection, then very easily Krishna will be pleased, and he will profusely give us rain by the virtue of good quality rain and good quantity rain. We will get everything that we need. So this is the first part of it. Second part is cows. So for a happy society, the second part is we should have food. So cow is the most important animal, and that is not because Krishna loved cows. No. Cow became important because Krishna loved cows. It is the other way around. Sometimes the cow lovers, there are many societies and many gurus who only preach about cow worship. They don't preach about Krishna bhakti. They preach about only cow. Cow is everything. It can cure AIDS. It can cure cancer. It can cure this and that. All the demigods are living in the body. Legs may, yogendras are living, and like that. They tell everything, which is all good. But that is only because Krishna showed his mercy on the cow as an animal or a living entity, as a living entity. So therefore, cow has become very important instrument of prosperity in human society as well. And it is told that if brahmanas and cows, brahmanas means the pure devotees, of course, the ultimate or the pure definition of brahmanas are the pure devotees of Krishna. If these two are properly respected and handled in any society, that society will become ultimately very happy, right? That is the proper definition of our standard of a happy society. So the cows are actually very strategical living entities. It is said that even from material point of view, if a nation goes on war and all other supplies are cut, but if there is ample amount of milk, even then the whole nation can actually survive on milk by producing different kind of varieties. And Prabhupada is writing, you can practically prepare hundreds and thousands of varieties of dishes from milk and survive on that, right? And we know that we ISKCON devotees are accustomed to rasgulla and gulab jamun and whatnot. So like that, we know the importance of milk, and milk comes from cow. Why is cow important? Because Krishna has showed mercy to this living entity. Therefore, it has become important. And because Krishna loves cows, therefore we as the devotees of Krishna should love, protect cows wherever we can. But how we can do that? Right now, we are producing synthetic milk and all. If in case practically in our lives we can shift towards the original cow milk wherever we can get from, then the people who are actually protecting those kind of cow breeds will actually get more motivation, and then they can move ahead. So this is one of the practical ways of doing that. Now, Śrīla Prabhupāda also talks about autocracy, divine autocracy, and therefore we should also touch base on that. Śrīla Prabhupāda in the 12th canto very elaborately discusses about capitalism, communism, and communism, democracy, and autocracy. Right? There are four types of models of governance. So autocracy, Śrīla Prabhupāda is telling here, is far better than any other kind of governance model like democracy, because only if the king is Krishna conscious. If the king is Krishna conscious and he is a pure devotee of the Lord, then he can actually be a divine autocrat and guide everyone to move ahead in Krishna consciousness. If he is not, then what will happen? That happened in India and everywhere in the world, that the autocrat starts becoming towards a dictator, and then he starts exploiting the resources and the common people in general. And if that fails, what happens? Then different kind of governance models come up, like democracy. Democracy, some devotee was telling, it is like demons go crazy. So like demons have grown crazy, so it becomes a democracy like that. Because why? Śrīla Prabhupāda is writing, because less than animal human beings are selecting other less than animal human beings, right? So what is happening? We have seen in Bihar, we see in everywhere. What they distribute a lot of money, lot of liquor, lot of elements of sense gratification. And what these low conscious people, what they do, they all come together, then they elect another person who is having very low consciousness. So what is having is a blind is leading another blind, and they are all going towards hell. So that is what is happening. And therefore Srila Prabhupada is telling that the leaders, it is very, very important for leaders to become Krishna conscious as soon as possible, as far as they can be. We are fortunate that we at least have a leader who can acknowledge Sanatan Dharma, Krishna consciousness, and like that. But then there is far more to be done like that. There is one more aspect to all this, that Krishna, see, when we talk about autocracy or democracy or any governance model, we have to always keep Krishna in the center of the society, be it a grahastha ashram or any kind of ashram or schools or colleges or offices. Krishna should also be always be taught to how do we center our lives and society around Krishna. Previously, what used to happen, the cities used to be designed in such a way that the temple, because it was primarily temple economy. So what used to happen is temple used to be in the center of the city, and then the city was kind of made approximately in a circular fashion. If you see old societies, they're all in that way. So the Brahmanas used to live closest to the temple because of their proximity and their services. Then the Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and the Shudras used to live on the outskirts because they used to serve in the fields, and then the fields were there outside the city, right? This is how the original system is there. Then gradually what happened, people generally believe that this whole system collapsed because of the Sudras, because Sudras become very powerful. They took over the administration, they started ruling, and then they spoiled all the Vedic culture, and then they derided the Vedic philosophy and bhakti and everything. No, it is not like that. Srila Prabhupada is writing, it is the other way around. Actually, this whole system collapsed because the top of the society, that is the Brahmanas, they actually deviated from their duties. So it is always when the top of the family becomes corrupt, the other people actually, ye jana paripasate, right? So they will follow, and then they will worship the activities done by the top leaders. Brahmanas were always worshipped like the god in the society. They were respected like equal to God. They eat, then Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, eat from the mouth of the Brahmanas. So therefore, all that happened. But when Brahmanas actually started deviating from their prescribed duties of devotional service and teaching people, accepting dan, giving dan, accepting, reading, scriptures, telling about scriptures, like that. So then whole society actually started imitating them. Then if our leader himself is corrupt, why should we follow any rules and regulations? Like that, they all deviated from their rules. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada is writing that everybody, at least in Krishna consciousness, should try to become what? Pure devotee of Krishna. In other words, try to become Brahmanas. When we become Brahmanas, then we go ahead and perform our activities, then the society in general will follow the devotees. And then again, we can establish this whole system. In fact, Srila Prabhupada has written many times in Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and this is a very controversial topic. He says that there can be no good in the modern society unless you establish back the Varna and Ashram system. Unless we establish back the Varna and Ashrama system, there cannot be any good in society. Then somebody may ask, why are we not establishing one and ashram? Why are we opening center like this? And why not cow protection one and ashram like that? So the reason is that the movement is very new at this point. It is only 50, 60, 70 years, right? Very new. What is the age of our movement? 10,000 years. So if somebody's age is 10,000 years and it has already passed 50 years, how old is the person? Toddler, not even a toddler. So the movement is actually in a very, very initial stage. Therefore, Śrīla Prabhupada said 50% of the work is about establishing Varnashram. 50%. But because we are very new, we are just starting up, it is proper to basically start with whatever you have at hand rather than waiting for the ideal situation and then spread Krishna consciousness. It is in the current state of the society where everybody is inclined towards sense gratification and accumulating more and more materialistic things, as said in this verse. It is proper and paramount that we go ahead and utilize whatever we have at this point in time and start spreading, so that more and more people become Krishna conscious, and then they understand the importance of Varnashram, and then they help us establish it again. Like, this is how Śrīla Prabhupada has strategically placed this whole movement. Right? The other way would have been, let's first of all go and preach Varnashram, establish Varnashram wherever we can, and from there preach Krishna consciousness, because that is the natural setup in which Krishna consciousness can very easily be practiced and propagated. That is the natural setup. Right? Natural setup for a plant is like you have a fertile ground, you put the seed, and naturally it will grow like that. The other way would be like they do in Japan and Korea and everywhere. They do artificial. They in a room or a hall, they create multiple layers of breeding facility. Like they put sand and everything and chemicals, and then they go plants one over the other, multi-terraced, whatever they call it, right? But that is artificial setting. The original setting Krishna has already given for growing plants. Similarly, for growing of and propagating of Krishna consciousness, the original setting is what? One ashram system. Original setting. Everything is there in that system. And how to set, how to run a one ashram system is all very elaborately explained in our scriptures. But why are we not doing it? Because right now, the conditions are not conducive for that. We need devotees to understand. And Bhakti Vikas Maharaj was once telling that, so suppose you go on road and you find some person and you tell him, sir, you are a Shudra and you should act like a Shudra. What he will do? He will be offended. He can start fighting. But then if you go to a devotee and you tell, my dear Prabhu, you are a Shudra, what will the devotee say? Yes, I am a Shudra. Thank you for confirming. Like that. So that is the point. When we create devotees or we become devotees and we ignite our Krishna consciousness, inherently our brain becomes fertile enough. And Śrīla Prabhupada is writing this concept of fertile brain to understand Krishna consciousness multiple times. So when we become Krishna conscious, the society becomes fertile enough for them to understand the philosophy of Krishna, the philosophy of Varna and Ashram, and then we establish and then we grow from there. Therefore, the first important principle is we spread the holy name, we spread the teachings of Krishna consciousness, devotional service in whatever capacity, Yukta Vairagya, as Rupa Goswami tells, and let people practice in whatever state they are already in. If they are right now the people are in a very precarious condition, let them be there and practice Krishna consciousness and come out from there, rather than waiting for them to come out from there and then practice Krishna consciousness, right? The first one is a more productive way of spreading Krishna consciousness. Therefore, this Krishna consciousness movement is a very special movement spread, very special movement started by Śrīla Prabhupada. So let me see if I have covered everything. So in this verse, they have talked about rains, the cloud showered all the water. Then earth produced all the necessities. Yes, earth is also, there are several kind of mother, told in the scriptures. Earth is one of them. Then there is nurse, then there is king's wife, then there is Brahmana's wife, and etc. Our mother and all that. All those kind of mothers. The earth is one of the primary mothers being told. And why she is a mother? Because she gives us all the necessities like a mother gives to her child. We pray to her by doing the agriculture, and she gives us all the, and then cow is the third concept being discussed here. And then in Bhagavad Gita also 3.14, it is told Annat Bhavanti Bhutani, right? So Krishna is the giver of all the facilities to earth, and earth gives to us. This is how we receive all these facilities. And therefore, it is important for us to practice Krishna consciousness as sincerely as possible, so that all these three facilities for a prosperous human society will be readily available for us. And we practically see it in human society, devotee society. In devotee society, like over here, if you go 2 years back or 3 years back, over here would have been a very barren land, right? But now when devotees came here, a temple has flourished. Why is that? Because some Krishna conscious person have come, and he has shown mercy on earth over here, and earth has very mercifully manifested this whole thing. This is all earth, right? So the earth planet is why it is called earth, because amongst the 5 elements, the earth element is the most prominent here, right? Therefore, there is, Śrīla Prabhupāda tells, there is another planet, for example, sun, in which the fire element will be very high, and therefore the people will be, living entities will also be living there, but there, amongst the 5 elements, the fire is the most prominent, right? So like that, so earth. So over here, whatever we see is actually most prominently composed of what? Earth. And therefore, when Dinesh Prabhu or Braj Krishna Prabhu or other devotees came here and they mercifully prayed to Krishna, so Krishna, it showed mercy to earth, and then earth manifested this whole Krishna conscious center. And now we are all sitting here and practicing. So we can practically see that how earth is actually supplying us with all the necessities if we become Krishna conscious. And we see in ISKCON, Śrīla Prabhupāda, in his interviews, in his videos, we have seen, he's saying that we are spending thousands of dollars in our centers all around the world, and we are not earning even a single dime, right? Krishna is sending everything. Thousands of dollars. We are having, many, many cars. Śrīla Prabhupāda is sitting at the airport and he's giving this interview to a reporter. It's a very famous video. Everybody would have seen. And he's telling that we are having hundreds of centers, we are having tens of centers, we are spending thousands of dollars, we are having so many cars. Śrīla Prabhupada sometimes used to travel in very expensive cars given by different people like Rolls Royce and everything. Like why? Because Krishna is giving his devotees. So when devotees, they worship Krishna, the Krishna, provides everything that is required for a happy and prosperous society. And we can practically see that in Krishna conscious society. Our temples, you see, there are hundreds and crores of worth of temples. Like in Lucknow, we are building a new temple, 120 crore. In Bhopal, I was just there. They're building a new stone temple, only stone, no cement, no steel, nothing, and no electricity they will use. Like they're building a new temple, which is at least 1,000 years of life. Like that, they're building 120 crore. Like that. In Delhi, they have 320 crore. Right? And there are 14 temples. Each temple is at least 100 crore. So if you start thinking about how much we are spending in our Krishna conscious society, mind will blow off. Right? This amazing, the amount of money we are spending here. And all this Lakshmi and Kripa that is happening is because Krishna is manifesting his Kripa on the devotees. Why? Because devotees are sincerely practicing what? Krishna consciousness and devotional service. They're trying to please Krishna, and Krishna is reciprocating. Same model that we are practicing in our temples. Right? We have 500, 600 odd temple and centers around the world. Whatever we are practicing in our centers can be actually practiced by everyone. It is a very simple and free process, right? Chant Bhajo Krishna, Karo Krishna, Bhajo or Karo Krishna Siksha. Follow Krishna's instruction and chant Krishna's holy name and associate with devotees. This is the only process, and all three are free. All of them are completely free. So we can go, and this model can be replicated all through the society, and society can actually all start reaping the benefits. But because, now coming back to the main point, which is like infertile brain that I was talking about, because the brain has become infertile. Why? Because in this second paragraph of this purport, Śrīla Prabhupāda is telling, because we have been involved in what? Slaughterhouses, prostitution houses, factories. Therefore, the brain of the human society has become very infertile to understand Krishna consciousness. And therefore, for a little happiness, for a little money, what they are doing? They're actually working very hard in day and night in companies, like in Google and Microsoft and everywhere. They're working very hard to write a code that somebody else will rewrite after some time, and they will find bugs in your code and they will chastise you. Why did you write a code that bring down the server? Right? It's like that. But we are still continuing to do that over and over. Punas punas charvita charvananam. We are doing rewriting the code again and again. Again and again. We are doing that over and over. And those who are doctors, they know people come, they get cured, and they go back and do the sinful activities. They come back again with the same disease. So they are also doing punas punas charvita. Same operation again and again. Right? They are not understanding that because the brain has become very infertile. Brain has become very infertile. They will not understand. But because Krishna has appeared as Mahavadanyaya, right? Mahavadanyaya. So therefore, he is not looking who is fertile, who is infertile. He is spreading Krishna consciousness to everyone, so that whoever gets chance in whatever capacity they can practice, they do that, and therefore they start their elevation of consciousness in this 400,000. They can start their elevation of consciousness upwards. Urdhva gachanti satvastha. So they can start their elevation towards upwards of better and better consciousness. Right? It is very important. This Krishna consciousness movement is the only hope, as Śrīla Prabhupāda tells. Is the only hope. Apart from this, there is no one at all who is actually helping people elevate their consciousness to higher levels and make their brain fertile again back, so that they can understand that happiness is not achieved by creating nuts and bolts in factories or writing code in companies. It is obtained only by practicing devotional service, and devotional service can be practiced in a natural setup of society of varna and ashram, where the rains, the cows, and the brahmanas and the earth are respected, and therefore they reciprocate with a lot of profuse facilities, and therefore the human society becomes successful. So this is the main import of this words. I will stop here. We are around the time. Jagat Guru Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Granth Raj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. If there are any comments by senior devotees or questions, we can address them. Yes, Prabhu. So he's. Yes, Prabhuji.
You see that through yajna we get rains, but when we Kalima yajna recommended is Sankirtan yajna.
Yeah.
But when we perform this yajna, in order to get rains, it becomes offense.
It becomes a
Offense. There was a Vaishnava in Bengal, for example. There was a drought for many years. So that Gauriya Vaishnava, he did Sankirtan, he led a Sankirtan parade. And after a few days, there was rain. Prabhupada said, this is.
Yeah.
And I heard other devotees also say that it is 8 offense.
yes.
On one hand, we have yajna has to perform, then we get rain prosperity. For that prosperous condition, becomes offense.
Yes. Yeah. Perfect. It's a very good question. I hope everybody online also heard it. Okay, I'll repeat the question. So the question is, sometimes when we perform yajna only with the intent of getting the rains, it becomes an offense, right? But on the other hand, if yajna, then there is no rain. Okay, I'll explain. So there is a principle of called intent. There is a principle. There are the two parts to doing any activity. There is an intent and there is a content. The main difference between doing an yajna specifically for getting a fruitive activity, right? If you do Nam Sankirtan, and then for the purpose of getting rain, and the rain happened, then it becomes a fruitive activity. It no longer remains a devotional service. Therefore, it becomes an offense, because now we are using holy name for the material benefit, right? But on the other hand, if we do Nam Yajna for the pleasure of Krishna, that I am doing Nam Sankirtan with everyone, there is a lot of drought in this area for a very long time, and I am going to do Nam Sankirtan with everyone in this whole area for the pleasure of Krishna and Krishna willing. This is the intent. This is the difference. And Krishna willing, if Krishna wills and he is happy with our Nam Sankirtan and our sincerity and service, then he will give us rain. And when that rain happens, then we see, oh Krishna, you have done it. Not that rain has given us permission. So this is the difference of intent of doing any activity. The activity remains the same. And therefore, Śrīla Prabhupada writes many times that devotees also look like they are doing the same activity as the materialists are doing, but they are not. Right? So this is the basic principle of why we are doing the activity is different in these two activities. Yes. So the point that if that Gaudiya Vaishnav did Nam Sankirtan only for getting rain and the rain happened, actually, yes, it is an offense. If it was done by ignoring Krishna's mercy. So, right? So that is the Sutre Manigana Eva. We have to connect all the dots through what? The Sutre Manigana Sutra is who? Is Krishna and his mercy. So like that, it is the difference in the intent of why we are doing a given activity. Right? We might write again. We might write code and it works. And sometimes there are a lot of bugs and people pray. Devotees pray. Krishna, promotion time is coming or the project deadline is coming. This code is not running at all. What should we do? So if it is done again with the same intent, hey, I will chant Hare Krishna and my code will run, then becomes a fruitive activity. If we pray to Krishna, I'm unfortunately stuck in this service, in this job, because I have been born in like a Kalau Sudra Sambhava, I am a Sudra, I don't know Krishna consciousness, I'm practicing it like this. Whatever I have got, I'm trying to do it well. So please help me so that I can do it well, so that whatever time I save by not rerunning the code again and again, I will go and chant. I will go and chant like that. So if we pray like that, then it becomes a devotional service, contrary to the other one. Right? So I also gave a software engineering exam. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. So today is working, right? What is Thursday? So if you have job or anything, we can continue. We are already past time. Online also, if you have any other work, thank you for joining the session, giving me opportunity. You can continue with your prescribed duties for the pleasure of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Can you repeat that? Sorry. Yes, yes. That is the right way to do it. For child or something. No, the purpose was still to please Vishnu. For all the yagyas, the purpose is always to please Vishnu. When Vishnu is pleased, because that particular yagya was having that desire within the heart of that person was with some intent. When Vishnu is pleased, because Vishnu is sitting in the heart of every living entity. So because he's also sitting in the heart of the Yajaman who is doing the yagya, and therefore he fulfills that desire. But originally all the yagyas were done for the pleasure of Vishnu. The names were different based on the desire, but the intent, principle was same. Vishnu should be pleased. Lord Vishnu should be pleased. No, it is not. They are perfectly matching. See, what happens is Krishna has two kind of energies. One is Swams and the Vibhinans. So the Vibhinans or the energies of Krishna, they are actually created in such a way that they go ahead and create, help this whole setting of Krishna that he has made work properly. So when he's explaining how rain happens on the ocean, how the clouds evaporate water, they go and unanimously distribute it everywhere, and all those things. Actually, these are being done by the differentiated energies of Krishna. So ultimately, Krishna is the original proprietor and the controller of all these things. But he has also created his different energies so that they can go and help his whole cosmic manifestation work properly. So like that. But if you go ahead and ask Indra, if you go and look in the heart of Indra, what he's giving rain, but what is in his heart? In his heart, he's a pure devotee of the Lord. In his heart, he's always, when he's soaking the water or he's taking the water in the mountain and then giving it on whatever land or ocean, he's always thinking as a service of Krishna, like that. So from an external point of view, it may look like, hey, different things are happening and they are all not connected to Krishna. But principally, everything is connected to Krishna. Principally. Definitely, we can. See, in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, both Śrīla Prabhupāda is explaining what is a desert. A desert is a manifestation of sinful activities done in the past in some area. Śrīla Prabhupāda is explaining. So desert is actually a painful or a sinful place where no water is there, and water is a primary ingredient of a happy society, right? So therefore, like that, he is explaining. So when somebody, in order to explain this particular argument, why rain doesn't happen in desert, because it is a manifestation of sinful activities of many people, and therefore desert happened. And there are other scriptural injunctions. There was a curse on Indra, and then he distributed it in different places, and then desert and women, and all those, right? How he distributed. But finally, again, it is by the virtue of what kind of association or relation people are developing with Krishna, he manifests or reciprocates in the same capacity. The proportion to which you serve and love Krishna, he will reciprocate in the same capacity. So deserts are also there because in some places in Bhagavatam, Śrīla Prabhupada is writing, because of the sinful manifestation. So if rain is not happening there because of the previous sinful manifestation, results of the sinful activities, like that. If it is happening on ocean where it is not required, again the same thing, because of the previous setup of karma or manifestations, like that. Exact results, I don't know. Exact reason, I don't know. This is what I can remember from Bhagavatam, that if things are not happening as they are supposed to be, then essentially it is the manifestation of non-Krishna conscious activities over time, like that. But however, the main import being discussed in this verse is that if in case we become Krishna conscious, Krishna is there to supply all our needs as and when we require them. So it is not that in a desert, if there is a devotee, he will not get what he requires. In Rajasthan also, if there is a devotee, there are temples and there are devotees, then they will get everything that they require for a happy living, like that, right? So like, and there are stories where Krishna himself has proven that he supplies all the necessities to his devotees personally, not through his agencies or anything. Personally, he goes and supplies. And there are stories, right? The Brahmana who was Jaydev Goswami, he was writing that Radharani put his leg on Krishna and he was not able to believe. Krishna came back personally and showed him that this, and there is a story of another Brahmana who saw this verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that I personally go and fulfill the needs of my devotees. He was not believing in it. And therefore, Krishna and Balaram themselves came by taking all the requirements on their head in buckets. And then they came when he was out for a bath. They personally came with all the necessities and gave it to his wife. This is your husband, they have sent it. And he has also beaten us to take this. And the wife was very surprised, right? That when the husband came back and both of them realized that this is Krishna, Balram themselves, they came to prove that I was not believing that Krishna themselves fulfill, and then Krishna himself comes and fulfill. Like that, there are many pastimes where Krishna proves this fact to his devotees, as is explained in this verse. So if we, again coming back, cows, earth, brahmanas, and yajna are required for any prosperous society. If that is not happening, or it is happening irregularly in some portion, that is because they are not surrendered to Krishna to that extent. In fact, Śrīla Prabhupāda writes in Bhagavatam that by doing Nam Sankirtan, we can actually finish Kali Yuga immediately. So Kali Yuga is supposed to be there for 5,000 years are spent, so 4,27,000 more years. It is supposed to be there. But Śrīla Prabhupada writes, if all of us become Krishna conscious, it will be finished immediately. So only Krishna consciousness can actually alter the course of providence. Whatever is there is provisioned. It can also be, sorry, I didn't get this. Yeah. Yes, yes, it is. It is number one. Yeah. It is number one. Yeah. Is there a question after that? Okay. It is number one. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. It is number one. Number one in the sense that this is the, yes. And it is number one in the sense not because we are having a lot of people in our, it is because we are preaching the original knowledge, spreading it, original knowledge for the benefit of all without any adulteration. Follow it. Okay. Any other comment, question? Yes, Prabhu.
This knowledge for Kaliga people now. When we hear right, everything will be not good. Then we see many things are like contradictory. Control everything, right? How everything happens. Krishna is the protector of Brahma, right? So why the world of cloud?
Yes.
How we can understand? Then we won't be able to develop that faith.
Yeah, that's a good question. The question is that if Krishna is the controller of everything, then why is there cow slaughter and brahmanas are not being respected and all those things, right? And that is the so the temples are being broken and all these things are going on. So if Krishna is the controller, we are having doubt, why are these things happening? That's a very general question. Even non-devotees have, and devotees also sometimes have. So the point is that Śrīla Prabhupāda writes in Bhagavad Gita that living entities are actually endowed with one very good facility, and that is called independence. That is the primary manifestation of love of Krishna towards the living entities, that Krishna gives independence to everyone. The only differentiating factor between Krishna and the living entity is that the independence of the living entities is infinitesimally small, whereas the independent and the Krishna is supremely independent, right? So what happens is, see, you have to see the whole picture in context. Why this whole material world was manifested? Because some of the living entities, they desired to lord it over the material nature, and therefore Krishna manifested this whole cosmic material manifestation, so that we can come here, exercise our desire to be the controller of Krishna, and ultimately get frustrated and go back to his lotus feet. Like a child, I've given previous example as well. When a mother is cooking in the kitchen, sometimes the child also wants to cook like the mother on the real fire. But because the real fire is very dangerous for the child, therefore mother buys a toy kitchen set, gives it to the child. The child goes and plays for some time until he becomes really hungry. But when the child really becomes hungry, the toy kitchen set will not help him satisfy the hunger. And therefore, he comes back crying to the mother. Similarly, this whole cosmic manifestation, material manifestation, is anonymous to having that kitchen set, that toy kitchen set. We are all playing here. We are all playing here in order to satisfy our innate desire, minute desire, not very big, minute desire of, of becoming Krishna, becoming the controller, becoming the enjoyer, right? We want to fulfill. And Krishna is waiting for us very patiently along with us. In the example of the mother giving the kitchen toy set to the child, the mother is not always with the child. The child is playing somewhere else, but the mother is not always there. But in this example, where Krishna has given or manifested this cosmic manifestation, Krishna has also mercifully decided to stay with us in the form of Paramatma in our hearts. So we are struggling in this world as software engineers, as whatever, from immemorial, time immemorial. We are again taking birth, again going to school, again college, studying so much labor, so much hard work, so much pain. Then going to office, doing so much hard labor, pain, so much feedbacks from the manager, writing code and all those stuff. And then, but all this long, Krishna is actually along with us as Suhrid Sarbhutanam. So he is the best well-wisher and he's along with us in our hearts, along with the living entity. But he's patiently waiting for us. What for? So that at some point in time we will be frustrated with this whole material jugglery that we are doing. And at some point in time we will go back to Krishna and say, now I am frustrated. Now I am really hungry of what? Of love. And therefore I have come back to you. So please take me to your shelter. Now coming back to your question, why these are things are happening? Because different kind of people in this world, they have come with different kind of desires, and they are also having their minute independence. Like Krishna has showed his love towards the living entities by giving them minute independence. And therefore everybody is trying to fulfill their own desires by using their minute independence. So now if somebody is killing cows, that is their minute independence that they're doing. And when they use that, they keep on getting entangled into the spiral of activities and their results, reactions. So the action and reaction spiral is becoming more and more complicated for them. Just like when a bee goes and gets stuck into a spider web. A spider is very proficient in navigating through the web, but the bee is not. So as much a bee tries to escape from the web, actually it is getting more entangled. The web is made in such a way that it gets more and more entangled. And we have seen practically, if you see closely, observe a bee getting entangled in a spider web, gradually it keeps on entangling itself, and finally it reaches at a point when it stifles itself. It stifles or chokes itself out of breath, and then it dies, and then spider very gradually comes and the breakfast is ready. Like that, this material world, every living entity has come here from Krishna's abode. The one who is killing the cow has also come from Krishna's abode. He is also Jiva. And the one who is sitting here and speaking Bhagavatam has also come from there. But because of our gradual progression in the material world, amongst the different lives that we have gone through, all of us are in a different state of consciousness now. Some have elevated their consciousness to understand a little bit about spirituality. Some has elevated a little more to understand the Krishna conscious philosophy. Some have already become pure devotees, and they are already ready to go back to Godhead in this material world also. And some, unfortunately, are still in a very preliminary stage of consciousness where they are still stuck in sinful activities like the ones you told. And therefore, Krishna is not interfering in, though Krishna is the supreme controller, he is not interfering because of his love towards that entity who is killing a cow. The love is what? The love is that I have given you the minute independence. You go and exercise your independence. I will not interfere. But whatever you do, I am here to give you reaction. I will just control the reaction. And gradually, even by doing that, Krishna is very subtly actually also elevating that cow killer. He's also doing that. See, if somebody does some mistake and I give him the result or punishment for that, actually I am indirectly helping him to correct his mistake, right? That's what Krishna is doing. He's patiently waiting for that person to kill the cow. The cow is being killed. The living entity within the body of the cow is getting freed of his karma. that the pain that it would have given, and therefore the cow is getting elevated, and the person who is killing the cow will get the reaction for his activity, and therefore he will also get elevated. So this whole fruitive activity thing in this world is a very slow, very slow process of getting elevated. Whereas association with devotees, chanting the holy name, doing Krishna consciousness is a fast way of elevating your consciousness. Ultimately, everyone has to elevate their consciousness, purify it, and ultimately go back to Godhead. Be it a cow killer or a temple breaker or a rapist or a devotee. The goal is same. Just that the process that we have taken, for one, the process is millions and millions of years. For the other one, as Śrīla Prabhupāda tells, the process is in this lifetime itself. I have to go back to Godhead. That's the only difference. It's the difference of speed. Otherwise, everything is same. Krishna's mercy and love is same. We cannot say that Krishna loves me more. No, he loves the cow killer me exactly same as he does to us. But his love is manifesting in a different way, depending upon the desire of that person. So it will take millions and billions of years for him to reach back to Krishna. Probably we are fortunate enough to associate with devotees like Śrīla Prabhupāda. So we will be a little faster, hopefully. Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank you. We have already exceeded 20 minutes. Thank you for hearing patiently, everyone on online as well. जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।